Hi, I'm Carter Billingsley. I'm the president of the Champaign County Forest Preserves Friends Foundation. There's always so many projects going on at the Forest Preserve districts. It's tough to nail down which ones are my favorite. I really enjoyed installing the kayak launch at Homer Lake. It's one of my favorite preserves, and I love getting out on the water. The rail trail has been something that we've been working on for a long time, and it's really cool to see that project come together and continue to move forward towards completion. Probably the one that really kind of stands out to me, though, is the revitalization of the Middle Fork dark sky amenities. So if you're not aware, Middle Fork Forest Preserve is the only international dark sky park in Illinois and one of just a few across the entire Midwest. And so building on that with help from community support, we put in an open air observatory and a dark sky trail with dedicated viewing nodes. We put in some dark sky campgrounds, and so to me that's just a really unique amenity and a very unique park. So those are all projects that we've completed that we were super excited about and very excited to see the community use them. In terms of upcoming projects, we have a lot of, again, really cool stuff going on. Land acquisition over by Riverbend to have Oxbow Ridge incorporated and make that a little bit more accessible. With the generous support of the Rayburn family, we're putting in an overlook at Buffalo Trace Prairie. But probably the thing I'm most excited about is the remodeling of the Homer Lake Interpretive Center. That space is in much needed use for some facelifting and to expand the space so that we have more opportunities for educational programming and for our educational animals, improve their habitats. And there's not really anything like that in Champaign County, and so the more we can build that out, that's something we're super excited to again, with community support, continue to improve. So one of my biggest goals as president is, because our donors play such a large role in what we do, is to strengthen the way that we recognize and celebrate our donors. And kind of in the same vein, communicate how contributions now have a lasting impact, so that when people support the forest preserves, whether it's through donations or in-kind donations or simply volunteering to help out, they know that what they're giving now creates a legacy and will have a lasting impact for future generations. It's really tough to choose a favorite forest preserve because they are all so unique. They have their own characteristics and certain charms. Sangamon River, it's really quiet, and those giant trees. Lake of the Woods with the botanical garden and Buffalo Trace. Middle Fork with the dark sky amenities and the campground and the only public swimming beach in Champaign County. They're all fantastic, but I'd have to say my personal favorite is Homer Lake because it has all of the ecosystems that you identify with Illinois. So you've got the prairie, you've got the woodlands, you've got the ephemeral ponds that come into being with, you can hear all the frogs and the grasshoppers. The other nice thing about Lake of the Woods is we have the bell tower, which you might be able to hear going off in the background. But that ecological diversity at Homer Lake, it means there's always something to do, right? Any time of the year, you can go hiking, you can go fishing. During the winter, I've seen people out there playing hockey on the frozen lake. So it's an opportunity to see all of the things that make Illinois great, and it's a really special preserve and probably my favorite if I had to pick one. Well, what I'm looking forward to most in my new role is to work more closely with donors and community partners to find ways to strengthen and enhance our preserves. I'm also really looking forward to working more closely with staff to identify priorities and continue to push projects forward and check things off our list. As I mentioned earlier, there's always a lot going on, and it's a real sense of accomplishment to have a project complete and open it up to the public and see the public's response is always a beautiful thing. My most memorable moments at the forest preserves, got lots to choose from, a lot jump out to me. Kayaking at Homer Lake was really cool, just the serenity, that's always a good experience. I would say anytime I have the opportunity to take friends or family members to a forest preserve, they're always kind of say the same thing. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I didn't know that we had this here, or I didn't realize this was here. And so those kinds of moments are really special, just to kind of see the light go off and to help open their eyes to the natural beauty that we have here. I also really enjoy the volunteer events, doing invasive species removal or seed collections. It's a great opportunity to kind of interact with the preserves hands-on and learn more about the plants and wildlife that call the preserves home. But I would have to say my most memorable experience was out at Middle Fork, Dark Sky Park. It was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, in the middle of December, cold night, and Saturn and Jupiter were converging in the night sky. And so me and my wife, Brittany, went out to Middle Fork to hopefully catch a glimpse of it, and we were woefully unprepared. We didn't bring a telescope, we didn't bring binoculars. We just knew there was something cool happening in the sky and that Middle Fork would be the best place to take it in. We did bring some hot chocolate, which was very clutch, but we got out to Middle Fork and there was one other car there, and it was a couple with a newborn baby who had driven something like 5 hours to come to Middle Fork to take in the convergence. And unlike us, they were prepared and they had a telescope set up. And so we were able to speak with this amateur astronomer, and he told us a little bit more what was going on. And he was generous enough to let us look through his telescope, and we were able to see Saturn's rings. And so just that experience of being out in the quiet, in the dark of the night, and making these connections with people who came a really long way to experience what Champaign County has to offer was really special. And so that's one thing that really stands out to me. So even as the preserves continue to change, one thing that I hope stays the same is the preservation of that sense of quiet connection that the preserves offer. Coming to the forest preserves gives people a chance to step away from the busyness of everyday life, slow down, and just take in natural beauty. So even as we expand programs and amenities, I hope to preserve that sense of open space that lets people really connect with nature on a intimate, personal level. I think it's easy to overlook just how much care and stewardship goes into maintaining these landscapes, right? Prairies and wetlands and rivers and woodlands, they don't stay healthy and beautiful all on their own. It takes a small army of staff and volunteers to constantly do things like remove invasive species and collect seeds to restore prairies to their natural systems. And so I think that's one thing where it's tough to notice that if you're just out for a hike. It's tough to see all the behind the scenes work that goes on, and to kind of appreciate how many people are involved with keeping the preserves beautiful and healthy.